Hi, I'm Shelley and thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a really funky cardigan. It starts in black and then we add granny squares later on. So the first thing we need to do is chain 79. This is for the size 32 chest. So next we need to work a half treble into the third chain from the hook, and we're going to chain one, miss the next chain and work a half treble into the next one, chain one, and again miss the next chain and half treble into the next stitch, chain one, miss a chain, half treble into the next, and just repeat that until the end of the row. So for the next row we're going to chain 3 and we're going to miss the first gap and work a half treble into the next gap and chain 1, and half treble into the next gap, chain 1, half treble into the next gap, chain 1, half treble into the next gap, chain 1, and just repeat that to the end of the row. And at the end of the row, chain 1 and work a half treble into the last space, and then work a half treble into the turning chain. Chain 3, turn. So we're going to miss this and go into the next space. Start again. Chain 1 and half treble into the next space, chain 1 and half treble into the next space, and then just repeat that to the end of the row, and just continue using this stitch until your work measures 13 inches. So to shape the armholes, we're just going to slip stitch into the first 7 stitches, so into the half treble and into the space. And then chain 3, I do apologise if I sound bunged up, yet another cold. So chain 3 and then go into the second space along with a half treble, chain 1, and then just repeat the sequence to the last 6 stitches and leave the last 6 stitches unworked, and then continue straight until the back measures, so the armhole measures 7.5 inches. So now we're going to start on the right front, and we're going to start by chaining 41 stitches, and then we're going to half treble into the third chain from the hook, chain 1, miss a chain, and half treble into the next chain, chain 1, miss a chain, half treble into the next chain, chain 1, miss a chain, and half treble into the next chain, and just repeat that sequence to the end of the row, and then finish with a treble into the last stitch, chain 3, turn, and we're going to ignore the first gap, and we're going to work a half treble into the next gap, and then we're going to chain 1, then half treble into the next gap, chain 1, half treble into the next gap, chain 1, and you see how this is going. Just repeat this until the end of the row. And end the row with a chain 1 and a half treble into the last gap, and then a half treble into the turning chain. And that's the last row. You need to repeat that row for until the right front matches the back to the armhole. Okay, so this is the right front, so you're going to decrease for the armholes with the wrong side facing. So this is the right side, and we're going to flip over, and then we're just going to work into the slip stitch into the first 6 stitches. This is my first time recording since I had that awful chest infection. So now we're going to just work to the end of the row, and sorry, we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to go into, no, sorry, chain 3, Ugh. And then we're going to go into the next space and half treble, chain 1, next space, half treble, chain 1, next space, half treble, and then you're just going to continue in to work straight until the it measures 4 inches less from the shoulders than the back. So now on the opposite side to the armhole, excuse me, we're going to slip stitch into the first 10 stitches, or into the stitch and the gap. and then we're going to chain 3 and work a half treble into the first chain space, chain 1, and just pattern to the end of the row. And for the next row, chain 3 and half treble into the next chain space, chain 1, into the next chain space, chain 1, and then when we get to the last 3 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, we're going to half treble 2 together, and then half treble into the turning chain, and then we're going to just chain 3 and half treble 2 together again, and then pattern to the end and just keep just work straight until it matches the size of the back to the shoulder, and then fasten off. Now we're going to start on the sleeve, and we're going to begin by chaining 39 stitches. And work a single crochet into the second chain from the hook, chain 1, miss a chain, and a single crochet, double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, miss a chain, double crochet into the next chain, chain 1, miss a chain, and double crochet into the next chain. And just repeat that to the end of the row. And we're now going to snip off that colour and join in the next colour. Chain 1 and work a double crochet into each stitch and each chain space. And just continue that to the end of the row. And for the next row, carrying on with the same colour, I'm going to chain 1, miss the first double crochet and double crochet into the next one, chain 1, miss the next stitch and double crochet into the next one, chain 1, chain 1, excuse me, miss the next stitch and double crochet into the next one, and just continue that until the end of the row. And as before, we're going to join in the next colour, chain 1, miss the first stitch and double crochet into the next one, and then just work into each stitch and each chain space across. And just continue to the end of the row. So again, we're going to chain 1, miss the first stitch and double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, miss a stitch and double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, miss a stitch, double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, and just repeat that to the end of the row. And then you're going to do the same with the next colour. Join it in one row straight and one row of chain, double crochet 1, chain 1, like this. Chain 1, miss a stitch, double crochet. So continue to the end of the row in that colour, and then join in your third colour and do the same 2 rows with that. So we're going to join in the next colour. So for the next row, we're going to increase at each end of the row. So we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to work a half treble into the base of that chain. Chain 1, miss a stitch and half treble into the next stitch. And again, miss a stitch and half treble into the next stitch, chain 1, and just continue that to the end of the row. And when you get to the end of the row, chain 1 and work 2 half trebles into the turning chain. So continue to work 2 rows of each colour, alternating, and then increasing on every 4th row 13 times. So you're going to keep repeating the colours until you have 2 lots of each colour, and then we're going to change to the black. So, to quote an Amy Winehouse song, we're now going back to black, and we're going to chain 3, and we're going to miss the first chain space and half treble crochet into the next. Then we're going to chain 1 and half treble crochet into the next space, chain 1, half treble crochet into the next space, chain 1, and continue to work in that way to the end of the row. And end with a half treble crochet into the turning chain, chain 3 and turn, and again we're going to miss the first chain space, well, it's not actually a chain space, the first 2 stitches, and work a half treble into the next one, chain 1, and just continue and work the same again. So we're going to continue working the sleeve in the pattern that we use for the back and the fronts. We're going to work in the pattern increasing on every fourth row as before. Another, let's see, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, another 10 times, and then keep working until the sleeve measures. I'll put that on the screen. The next thing we need to do is to make a series of granny squares. So you're going to need 10 granny squares with 5 rounds, 10 granny squares with 4 rounds, and 1 big granny square with 8 rounds. And then you're going to finish each granny square with a row of double crochet. So without further ado, we'll get started. I'm sure most of you already know how to make a granny square, but just in case you don't, so we'll start with 5 chains, and join with a slip stitch, chain 3, and work 2 treble crochets into the circle, keeping the yarn inside the stitch as you work the tail of the yarn. And then we're going to chain 2 and work another 3 treble crochets, chain 2 and work another 3 treble crochets, chain 2 and work 1 more lot of 3 trebles, chain 2 and join with a slip stitch into the third of the turning chain. Now you can either snip off the colour here or continue in the same colour as I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is slip stitch into the chain space I've just bypassed, chain 4, and then go to the next chain space and treble 3 times, chain 3, and then treble 3 times again into the same space, chain 1 and work 3 trebles, 3 chains and 3 trebles again into the next space, chain 1, and then do 3 trebles, 3 chains and 3 trebles into the next stitch, and join with a slip stitch into the third chain. So just continue in those rounds, either changing colour, or you can use any combination of the colours that you've used for the trim on the sleeves. And as I say, you need 10 5 rounds, 10 4 rounds and 1 8 rounds, and finish each with a row of double crochet around the edge, working 3 double crochets into each corner. So next we're going to snip off the grey, and we're going to join in the white. Okay, so join in the white, and then we're going to chain 2, and then we're just going to work a half treble into the second stitch and into all of the other stitches along the row. And just continue working in the white, working half trebles until you get to the other side. So for the next row, we're going to chain 3, sorry, and then we're going to miss the first chain and miss the second stitch and half treble into the third stitch. Chain 1, miss a stitch and half treble into the next stitch. Chain 1, miss a stitch, half treble into the next stitch. Chain 1, miss a stitch, half treble into the next stitch. And just continue that all along the row. So now we're going to snip off the white and join in the red for the last row of double crochet. So I wasn't going to find the end there, but I did. So join in the red, chain 1, and then work a double crochet into each space and each stitch all the way along. And just continue that stitch to the end of the row, and then that's the bottom border finished. And next you're going to start at the neck corner and do exactly the same 4 rows as you've just done for the bottom edge, and then finally when you've finished that, we're going to do the exact same 4 rows up the 2 sides.